Good morning. I'd like to call to order this meeting of December 18th, 2012, our 9 a.m. meeting. If you wouldn't mind, we'd like to rise for an invocation and a pledge of allegiance.
Dear Father, as we celebrate the holiday season, let the joy of giving spill out in every area of our lives. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd also like to, in honor of those that had such tragic loss with the Sandy Hook community, as Americans, we would like to unite and observe a moment of silence. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, joining your hearts with ours, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Is there a motion this morning for the minutes from the December 4th, 2012 meeting?
Mr. Chairman, move approval minutes.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
There's a second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. With that, we'll turn to the proclamations, presentations portion of our meeting. We will begin this morning with a resolution number 12-224. This is Purple Heart County. With that, Madam Clerk, please read the proclamation.
Resolution number 12-224. A resolution declaring St. Lucie County, Florida, is a Purple Heart County of the Treasure Coast of Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. St. Lucie County is located on the Treasure Coast of Florida and has always supported our military veteran population, now numbering nearly 30,000. The Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in use today, evolving from the badge of military merit created by General George Washington for the common soldier in 1782. The Purple Heart is awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces that have been wounded or killed in combat with a declared enemy of the United States of America. The mission of the Military Order of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veteran and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, make certain that the community will never forget the service of our veterans. The Florida State Legislature designated August 7th as Purple Heart Day in perpetuity in honor of the recipients. St. Lucie County is honored to recognize the sacrifices Purple Heart recipients have made in defending our freedoms and believe that it is important to admire their courage and to show them the support that they have earned. Passed and duly adopted this 18th day of December, 2012.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, is there a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. With that, I'd like to invite up Mr. Ron Nepshield and Wayne Teagarden to accept this resolution. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning. Thank you so much. Anybody? Morning, morning. Give you this here. If you don't mind. You guys mind saying a few words?
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As always, it's a pleasure to be here to address you. As chairman of the United Veterans of St. Lucie County, I would like to thank you for this proclamation. Veterans who have received the Purple Heart will appreciate it as well. I know from experience that they think it's great that they get a little recognition, and well, they should. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you.
Wayne Teagarden, Veterans Services Manager for St. Lucie County. I'd like to mirror everything that Mr. Nefshield just said and say that at the entire time that I was on active duty with the military, this is one award that I tried not to receive. So, but I know the folks that did get it would be very happy to receive this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This time I'd like to have us turn to item number 2 under presentations, and we're going to have Corinne Williams come up regarding our Transit Marketing Award presentation. Corinne? And crew, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Corinne Williams. I'm the Transportation Coordinator for St. Lucie County in the Office of Community Services. I'm a little nervous after so many years working here. With me, I have Natasha Monaco Sarah, who is our Mobility Specialist. I bring to you great news because St. Lucie County is definitely doing great things, especially in the world of transit. On October 28th to the 29th, St. Lucie County Community Services and Community Transit participated in the 38th Annual Public Transportation Association Conference in Daytona, Florida. At this conference each year, we have an opportunity to partner and exchange information with our fellow transit partners. Problem-solving techniques are considered, and demonstration of how to make transit work in our respective counties were considered. In addition to that, we had the opportunity to participate in the transit marketing effort. As you know, last year we did participate for the first time, and we won first place in Class Media 1. Well, this year, we were very fortunate to come away with 6 awards, 4 first place and 2 honorable mention. And Natasha Monaco Sarah will mention what those wonderful awards are.
Good morning, Madam. I'm also a little nervous. Good morning, members of the board.
Morning.
We have at this time present here about 3 capstone students who won first place marketing awards, and in the class of electronic media audiovisual is Roger Malloy. And at this time, I'd like to present his certificate of appreciation.
Excellent.
There you go.
Do we get to hear from him?
Sure. Sorry.
We need Roger.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for Natasha and Corinne for the opportunity working on this. This is something that I was really excited about. I got to kind of push a lot of my abilities, stuff that I'm usually not real comfortable doing. But transit is kind of exciting. It's kind of fun, and I wanted to try to approach it in a way that would make kids think about the benefits of transit and try to make it in a fun way. So we created a game where the kids are challenged to try to work through. It's a simulation to basically try to work through the 6 different routes of the Treasure Coast connector. And along the way, they have to learn how to pay for the fares, how much fares cost, how to load their bikes onto the bus, and then they're also asked trivia. So basically, by the end of the challenge, they learn in the process of playing the game, and hopefully they'll make better commuters and citizens for St. Lucie.
Wow. Congratulations. That's great. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
At this time, we also like to present an award to Council on Aging for receiving honorable mention in sustaining campaigns in electronic media and audio-visual television.
Morning, Mr. Drummond.
Good morning.
Two?
Is that two?
Infamous man in all of St. Lucie County.
Want to say something?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to suggest only one thing, and that is that Corinne and Natasha are rabid about promoting transportation. And we are very excited about just following behind them and making sure, as I suggested to Commissioner Johnson, that we get there on time.
Right.
And so we're excited about the continual efforts to increase the opportunity to expand transit and the visibility of the services that we can provide. And so, 2 awards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And at this time, we would also like to honor Professor Walt Hines, who made all this collaboration possible.
Wonderful. Just a word or two? So I'm trying to walk away already. Yeah.
Professor.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're really fortunate to have an outlet like the county to show our talents of our students. Roger is one of the most talented people ever to walk into the program. He's works for Cotton and Company. He's worked for the Florida Museum of Natural History. And his game, I missed 2 questions on that game, so it's 5 years old. But in every way, whether it's designing a map, doing a video, working on printed pieces for the county, promotional pieces, we're very proud to be able to send our best students over and capstone and produce the kind of quality work that wins these 2 fine ladies an award. These people are really deserving. They work really hard for the county.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
If I may ask for your indulgence, we would like to give you all the wonderful awards that we had received that we're keeping in our office.
There you go.
So at this time, we'd like to present to you. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to go out and do what we do best to promote transit in the fashion in which we do.
Oh, great.
And we'd like to give to you the award.
We'll come down for a quick picture with that.
Yes, please.
Picture.
We all get to hold pieces of this?
And Mr. Chairman, as everyone is getting back to their seats, I just want to take a moment to recognize that Tasha also was an award winner a couple years ago. She's also an alumni from IRSC, correct? And having capstone students from IRSC is extremely, we're just very lucky to have that opportunity. And just recently, I guess it'll happen in a couple weeks, is that IRSC will be graduating again a 10th year record number of students, and it's that type of work that comes out of that college that makes St. Lucie County special. So let's hear it for IRSC. Not that I'm an alumni or anything.
Isn't today the graduation?
Is it today?
Isn't today the graduation, in
Yeah.
fact?
Yes.
Today at 2:30 or something like that? With that, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your attendance this morning. That was really exciting. Let's turn to general public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board this morning, please feel free to do so at this time. Provide your name, address, and your Christmas wishes.
Mr. Chairman, the board would like the opportunity to address the board under regular agenda item number 8 when that comes up, if you would please, with the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. Bill Blazak for the record.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning? Seeing no movement, we'll close the general public comment. That will turn to the consent agenda. Is there any item that any member of the board wishes to remove or pull for a separate discussion? Hearing no.
Mr. Chairman,
Is there a motion?
approval of the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, staff. I know our staff are great to always sit and wait patiently to see if their item is going to be pulled. And maybe that was your Christmas wish today. So that was excellent. Let's turn to the regular agenda. We're going to begin with item number 8, Public Works. We did have a request just a moment ago from Mr. Blazek as well to speak on that. Actually, I'm going to jump backwards because I just realized I flipped a page too far. How about if I go back to public hearings?
There you go.
Let's start with item number 7 on our public hearings. We have 4 of those, in fact, this morning that we're going to walk through. Let's begin with item number A, and we're going to turn it over to our illustrious county attorney, Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Assistant County Attorney Catherine Barbieri will be handling the next few items.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, for the record, Assistant County Attorney Catherine Barbieri. Item 7A is Code Enforcement Case 74084, 394 Gasparilla Avenue. This is being brought to you as the Code Enforcement Board. It was cited by Code Enforcement for violation of a public nuisance. It was brought to the Code Enforcement Board on November 7th, and they referred it to the Board of County Commissioners as they feel it's a serious threat to the public health and safety, and we are asking, it's mainly an overgrowth, for permission to go in and mow the lot. It's a one-time item. A lien will be placed on the property. Notice was provided as required.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item, please do so at this time. Seeing no movement, we'll close the public hearing.
Move approval.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second with discussion. Just want to ask, Mrs. Barbieri, you say one-time item. If this remains overgrown for 6 months or something, do we have the ability to come back? Is this just a one-time?
This is authorization for one time. We would have the ability to either bring it back to the board or we are implementing the ordinance you passed this summer, so we hope to have that implemented sometime this spring.
Okay. Now, this item doesn't look as though it has a pool, but
it does not.
My comments are going to be the same throughout all these hearings. Is that are we making sure that whenever they do have a pool, that the pools are closed over so that children can't fall into the swimming pools?
Yes, you'll see on item 7D there is one that has a pool, and we are asking for permission to secure it. It is the only one that has a pool.
Okay, I didn't know if there were any others that I wanted to get it out first.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the item? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. That would turn to item number B. Ms. Barbieri.
Again, Commissioner, Chairman, for the record, Catherine Barbieri. You have Code Enforcement Case 74085. It's for 248 Arosa Boulevard, unsightly and unsanitary conditions, public nuisance. Again, it went to the Code Enforcement Board in November, and they found that it was a serious threat to public health and safety and ordered us to bring it to the Board of County Commissioners to ask to have permission to rectify the situation. It is for excessive overgrowth of grass and weeds. We are asking permission to have it mowed and a lien placed on the property. Again, all notice was provided as required.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board, please do so at this time. Seeing no movement, we'll close the public hearing, return to the board. Is there a motion?
Approval.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Barbieri, item C.
Again, Chairman, Commissioners, for the record, Assistant County Attorney Catherine Barbieri. On this one, we put two of them together. We have some good news. Case number 74505, Soles, has been abated. So we only have before you now case number 74508, 4011 Avenue L. That went to the Code Enforcement Board in December, I believe it was. They again found it to be a serious threat to public health and safety and asked us to bring it to the Board of County Commissioners to have permission to go in, abate the serious health and safety by mowing it, the grass and weeds, and placing a lien on the property. Notice was provided as required.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wish to address the board at this time, please do so. Seeing no movement, we'll close the public hearing, return to the board. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, move approval.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. That, Ms. Barbieri, item D.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, again for the record, Assistant County Attorney Catherine Barbieri. On this one, as you see, you have four of them. We grouped them together. This is unsanitary nuisance again, and they went to the Code Enforcement Board in December, and they did order us to bring it to Board of County Commissioners to debate the violation. These were grouped together because they're overgrowth, and all of them require some boarding up of windows. And the first one, 154 Carmoso Drive, also has an unsanitary pool that we'd like to secure. So the addresses are 154 Carmoso Drive. We're asking permission for the weeds, the boarding up, and the unsanitary pool to 2006 72 Niagara Avenue. Again, it's excessive overgrowth and boarding up of the windows. 4002 Avenue L, excessive overgrowth and boarding up of the windows, and 114 Celeste Street, excessive overgrowth and boarding up of the windows. And they all went to the Board of Code Enforcement, and they were ordered here, and notice was provided as required.
Okay. 114 Celestia Court. We'll turn to a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board this time? Seeing no movement, we'll return to the board. Any comments or discussion?
Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, again, with the pool, does mosquito control take an active part in treating the standing water to help out the neighborhood?
We will refer it to them and ask them if there's anything they can do. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any those opposed? Motion carries. That will close our public hearing portion. We'll return to the regular agenda. This time we'll turn to item number 8, Public Works. Utility Division, Ms. Waldy. Good morning.
Good morning. Lori Waldy, Utility Director. The item you have before you is adoption of the resolution to revise the St. Lucie County Water and Sewer District Uniform Service and Extension Policies. The board did approve these policies on October 23rd, 2012, with an effective date of January 1st, 2013, with the direction to return to the board in December with any issues or concerns that were brought forth from a local engineering firm. Questions were received from the firm, answers were provided, and myself and Mr. Marankas attended a Chamber Government Affairs Committee meeting to discuss further. A copy of these questions and answers are in your agenda package. We do believe the major concerns raised were addressed in these revised policies. A copy of the revised pages were provided to the Chamber President and representative of the engineering firm. The revisions are, we clarified regarding the need for utility development agreement prior to development approval by the board. This is not a county requirement, but it may be entered into an agreement voluntarily. Such instances may be due to financing requirement, and it's not a requirement of ours. It would be of their financing, and it's a voluntary on the developers, and we district doesn't require it. We clarified the language in regards to concerns with a possible refund situation, and this would relate to going into this voluntary type of development agreement earlier, And if that happens, then this talks about the conditions of what would be refunded. We have a list of development fees, and we would go through that under special conditions during the development agreement if they are doing this voluntary agreement earlier than what would normally be the case. We removed the reference to utilizing the district contract library for the utility offsite infrastructure in both policies. Currently, the utility has no in-house engineering, so our contracting engineers are our engineering staff, and we looked at that as this would have been our original thought, that they would work as one with us. However, the ratepayers in the county are still protected with design plan review, construction inspections, and final approval prior to acceptance of the offsite infrastructure into the district system. So we feel removing this would still be fine. We also have available a non-standard development agreement if there's instances where the developer feels that, the staff feels that they go beyond what is in our standard development agreement, which is approved by staff and administration. But the non-standard development agreement, such as some of these conditions, would come back to the board. So we have opportunities for any developer to discuss with us and come back to the board certain conditions. These policies are in place to protect the county, the district, and the ratepayers or existing customers, plus provide for uniformity and fairness for and with development. This resolution, of course, can be revised if necessary at a later date. We feel and respectfully request the board to adopt this resolution with the revisions.
Thank you, Ms. Waldy. This is not a public hearing item. However, we have had a request for comments. I believe we have Mr. Blazek that's asked to provide, as well as we have Ms. Linda Cox as well from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. Morning, Mr. Blazek.
Mr. Chairman, board members, for the record, Bill Blazak, Culpeper Interpreting Engineers. I appreciate the opportunity to work with staff and to address the board this morning. I probably have a little different view of this. I don't disagree with Ms. Waldy and with staff that there is significant housekeeping issues in here. But I also have to look at it when I represent a client and I have to tell them that it's a good deal or it's for economic development or I think we should sign this agreement. I can't straight face sit there and tell a client to enter into an agreement with St. Lucie County Utilities. I know it's been a struggle, but I see these policies that they've been crafted to, when you look at the validity of them, to go back to projects that have approval, to notify them that they're going to pay, which is fine. But I think there's a lot of variables in that when you say you're going to pay. How many of those projects are we anticipating to pay? Does that pro forma of those projects, when the money is collected, if they do agree to pay, is it enough to construct your facilities? Don't know that. There's reference to an FPUA agreement, a current FPUA agreement. The last correspondence I saw on that agreement was canceled in 2005 by a letter from administration that terminated that agreement in March of 2010. And the letter clearly says that projects that are served, some of the projects would be served by FPUA under the agreement. But all new construction by the county would be served by our capacity, by facilities built by the county. Here we are 8 years later, and we don't even have anything underway. So to collect money and to tell a client, let's do this. If everybody doesn't play, you might not get all your money back. How do I do that? How do I tell a client that economic development in St. Lucie County is a good place to build? It's tough. You can't do it. We're struggling. Our fees are double what our two surrounding utilities are. So if you do pay both of them, you have to pay both of them if you come to the county. Which one do you get back? Do you get one back? Don't know. It's unclear. It's quite a financial burden for a developer. And I look at the county as, we're in a position we have land that doesn't have a lot of additional non-ad valorem burden on it and some great areas to develop. But how do we do that? How do we get jobs here? How do we get people here if we're going to tax them or address them with double the fees and the chance that they may not get it back? And how do I tell a client to enter into this agreement, and he says, where's the Fort Pierce agreement? It's an old document with a letter that cancels it. I'm struggling with that. I really think this needs a lot more discussion, and you all need to really understand the financial impact of this. It's huge. I mean, if this adopts January 1st, everybody's going to go one of the two cities. It's half the price, and it's a sure thing. You can enter into a contract, and you're done. There's no ifs. There's no, will I get my money back? Will my fees be reduced? Will my ERCs be reduced if I have to wait 5 years and they're going to take the money that comes back to me out of my ERC values? Don't know. There's significant variables in this that truly, truly impact the economic development in this county. I've had discussions with the chamber, and Mr. Curry and I have discussed. You talked to Fort Pierce, and staff agrees you don't have to have that. Then if you don't have to have an SDA and pay the fees, why did we put it in here? Everything leans to you can't have a purchase and sale agreement with a realtor. It's the title holder of the land. So it's a financial obligation down to the title holder of the land to make sure that the utilities is getting the money to build a system. But when will it happen? Has someone done a pro forma on that? If we've got X number of projects out there and all the money's collected, providing everybody pays at once, can we build it? And when that's built, if we collected double fees, do you get some of them back? Obviously, you don't get the counties back. They're very clear about that. So I just think it's difficult for the professionals in this community, if these are implemented, to move forward and work to attract businesses or whatever here. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank
you. A couple questions while you're there, Mr. Blazek. Laurie, can you address the canceled contract with FPUA? Is that?
Yes, Commissioner. The contract is still in effect. It is not canceled. What they did is the county had set forth the right to build their own plants. The original contract said you had to give notice if we were going to build our own plants. We still have a bulk service agreement. We still have a bulk area that's provided by FPUA. We still have a valid agreement. If I may, there's a couple other things I'd like to address. We do have property ready to build the plant whenever the board deems. We rezone that property. As far as the connection fees, I have promised that we will be looking at within the next 6 to 8 months. By the end of the fiscal year, we'll come back to you with that. We feel that there are reductions that can be made. I will be reducing the connection fees as the plan. Again, I addressed the refund. That would be identified in any special conditions. If a developer chooses to have a development agreement earlier than what we require, it's voluntary, and so that would set forth when and what would be potentially refunded. If that is the case, FPUA signs it. If we're looking at, we do a developer's agreement because financing wants it, but you don't come in front of the board for the development approval until, a month or so late. We can probably put that within the agreement, and we would not pass that on to FPUA pending approval. We do not require it, but there have been instances where they may want to have it ahead of time, and then the development doesn't get approved. We have to have a means in there. It's just to cover all conditions. That's what these policies do. They haven't been approved in a while. We're trying to clean them up and look to what have occurred in other places as well.
Let me ask you while you're on that subject, this board can approve and change conditions of this document at any time.
Correct. It's a resolution.
If we find it's a hardship, really, if it goes forward, then the developers can come to us and make a case. But until such time as development returns to St. Lucie County, we won't know the byproduct of that. Mr. Blazek, from that position, you made a very good point in that unincorporated county has some challenges in providing utility service, and that you said that if a developer came to this community, that they would go to one of the two cities. Well, I think from a planning side of things, I think it's important that infill occur in the cities, in the actual municipal areas. To expect unincorporated county taxpayers to fund or to reduce the cost of utility services because land is less expensive in unincorporated area and infrastructure needs to be placed, I think it's important that the developer pay their way and not put the burden on current taxpayers. So from that standpoint, this actually raises the heat on my concern that, especially in North County, that we should be working toward a regional utility because capital cost in all utilities is the burden. And if we had a regional utility in North County especially, Fort Pierce and St. Lucie County could join forces, if you will, to create a streamlined option for developers and for those who wish to invest in St. Lucie County north of Midway Road. So that's a conversation I'd like. I think that you make a very good point that it actually would support that.
I don't disagree with you, Commissioner, other than taxpayers don't pay the bill for utilities. They're self-supporting. But absolutely, if you had a regional utility, your fees would be half of what they were, and it would be very manageable and very attractive for business and economic development. As it is, we're double. We're absolutely double right now. And this solidifies that and gives you the ability to collect that money and not give it back.
Which is why it may not even help promote the idea of a regional utility, because you're actually setting aside other funds to be able to better promote your own utility. That's where I think my caution has been on this whole issue from the get-go, that this is an item that we've waited on for 4 years, and I felt like it was pushed upon us at the last minute with the guise that it had to be done, and really it hasn't, and nothing has changed even during the past month and a half that it's been in place. And I've had those concerns. But we had a comment also from Linda Cox.
Thank you, Commissioner. Linda Cox, President of the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. I'm here today just to echo what Mr. Blazek is saying, that we did a great job working with Ms. Waldy. She made a lot of changes based on our recommendations, and we appreciated that, but there are still some very great concerns that are in this document, and if we've waited this long to have this go into effect, why not wait just a little bit longer so that we can look at all of these issues so that we don't hurt ourselves on the economic development front. So we're just asking that this be delayed so that we can continue working with you and with staff to make sure that these concerns are reasonably addressed so that we're not turning people away. I think you all recognize that when people want to look at our community, we've talked for a long time about economic development, and certainty is one of the things that are very important to somebody that wants to invest in our community. And I think this creates a level of uncertainty when we have to prepay these fees. Even though it's voluntary, sometimes the financial institutions require that. So that's what we're asking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board comment?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question. I'm finding myself caught with this and have been for quite some time, mostly on the issue that there is a lot of housekeeping that really does need to be taken care of. So I'm concerned about trying to lump possibly all of it together. Is there a way to separate out those that are housekeeping and need to be done, which even both of you agree it's way past time, compared to the issues, and pull out separate the issues that are of the biggest concern from an economic standpoint and to get those answered? Or does it have to be done as one whole swoop?
If I may, I think a lot of these policies have been in effect forever. They're not all changes. Some of them have just been fine-tuned. As far as looking at economic development, of course, the only way the utility grows is to bring in new customers. Our intent is not to go against economic development. As far as looking at some of the concerns, if they don't pay within 5 years, the development agreement is null and void. If there are outstanding fees, yes, the intent is to reduce their capacity that's available. That is the exact same thing that FPUA is doing as well. We're not in this alone. As far as the title holder, that's very important. We cannot have somebody else obligate the property owner. The capacity runs with the property. We've always requested that. This just fine-tunes that and makes sure it's in our documents. It's what we have been practicing. Some of these things just need to be cleaned up, like we said. As far as separating them, they all work together, so it's kind of difficult. I'm trying to think as we're talking which ones would be, but we have a service policy which is for our existing customers, and of course that takes care of the way we do business with them right now. And then we have the extension policy, which is looking at new development, which is unfortunately not occurring anywhere right now. But I'm struggling with what you're trying to think we could do.
And as have I been, when I've gone through it, it's almost like you have to refer back to this section and everything else. So I just wasn't sure if there was this.
I'm 100% on board with you, and I really believe that there are elements, and I believe Ms. Waldy has an ability to help separate between what is general housekeeping that needed to be done versus some of the other more significant changes that are being provided. And that I feel like that whole idea again, that there's this idea, and she, to her credit, she has a plan of what she would like to have in place. And once you kind of get that in your mindset, you want that. And to have something less than that, I feel, makes it challenging to somebody that's in that particular department, because that's what she eats, sleeps, and dreams. But I feel, from my perspective, I feel very uncomfortable with moving forward with the magnitude of the changes and some of the significant things that are being discussed in a manner that there is no pressing issue to have many of those items take place. The other minor items that have been discussed previously, those housekeeping items, I don't have challenge with some of those items that I walked through in a meeting with Lori months ago on that.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, do either one of the representatives that have spoken, do either one of you have specific areas that are still of major concern? Or is it the whole thing?
No, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Hutchison, our concern from a professional from the community side of it was the limited refund, obviously, the title holder. I mean, I understand the title holder, but, we may be in a position where when you limit it to that, you could have one of your large property owners, and we've experienced this already, where the property owner had to literally pay the fees because they wanted to obligate only the property owner. The little store in Lakewood Park, Mr. Norris had to write the check for the review and everything else, $7,500. He had to write a check for that store. They wouldn't recognize anyone else but him. So I understand this. I'm very intimate with these. I did them the first time in '94, and then and I believe these used to be two separate documents by separate resolution, but they've been combined, and you do have to go back and forth because they refer. Like the validity is in the uniform service side of it. That should really be on the extension side of it. As far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. But there are areas the validity really concerns me because it's the ability to go back on projects that we have out there that may be a good tax base for you to go back. And the way it is right now, they could receive a letter and be told, here it is, you need to enter into a new agreement and pay this. I think that's a concern. Those people could turn around and walk completely, and that's okay, but how does that fit into the plan if you've planned to go out and collect this money to build your system and then nobody wants to play? There's a lot of details. While it is good housekeeping and it's a great rule to have, it's certainly a financial burden, and it can get very complicated.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Waldy.
Yes.
From the standpoint, what I'm hearing Mr. Blazek say is that she's a Lakewood Park property. The fact that it's to stay with the landowner. Well, if we were to put it somewhere else with an investor, if they don't own the property, how will we get our money back? If any cost or capacity that was extended to that particular development. That's my concern right here, is that when you say about setting aside capacity, and we have to permit the capacity, do we not?
Correct.
And there's a cost associated with that, with either staff time or the process. So if somebody wants to come in and speculate on a piece of property, and we have to determine, the capacity for utility service, then we have to permit that, and we have to set that aside, and we have to make commitments on behalf of that landowner. If that landowner doesn't come through, we're still in the process of having had that cost. So I have a concern with that, and the fact that I've heard that it's also voluntary, to the extent that it can. I think that we really should be moving forward with this. Continue to review it. We can make the adjustments going forward. I heard it very clearly that we could do that. This gives the utility department and assurances to the business community as to what we have in place, and it won't be a situation where we don't know. And I think we do give assurances with this document being codified today. And then if you have issues, if you find something else, we can manage it going forward. This is a fluid document. I think we can work on that.
Commissioner, I don't disagree with you other than the fact that it's a timing issue when you look at some of this. I'm not complaining that if a project receives its approval and they come in for concurrency and they enter into the agreement and they don't go forward after that. That's one thing. This talks to the fact of prior to any approvals, whether it be zoning or anything else, now it's a voluntary pay. I've talked to a couple of financial institutions, Mr. Nate Eckloff. I haven't had anybody say that they would require for that to be paid in advance, but that's okay. I mean, if it's voluntary, that's fine. And if you don't get your approvals, you can turn around and you go away. You don't have to pay. But this is structured that if you do pay prior to and you don't get your approvals, you're not getting your money back. That doesn't work.
Mr. Chairman, could you point that out to me, Mr. Blaze? Because that's not how I read it. Maybe I'm reading it different. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just maybe my interpretation's different.
Yes, and for the record, Mr. Chairman, if I may, in the sessions that I have had with staff on that specific point, because it is of great concern, and Ms. Walter, please correct me if I have misinterpreted how it was explained. There are a host of fees, and the hard costs would be refunded. As I understand it, there are some fees that are associated with the administrative review of the applications, and those could not automatically be refunded. But as we go through the hard costs, where those fees would not have kicked in at the point that the application is not going to move forward, those would in fact be refunded. So I think it is important, if we're going to talk about that issue, that we break down which of the fees would be impacted in terms of maybe a prorated share of them being reimbursed, and then those that 100% of them would be reimbursed, because I think we're mixing the issue in terms of the refund. So, Ms. Walder, if you would help the board to understand specifically which of the fees would be impacted in terms of the refund and which of those that would not.
Yes, thank you. That is correct. When we do the development agreement, we have a list of fees. There are obviously the connection or capacity fees. We have looking at inspection fees. We have plan review fees. There's administrative fees. Obviously, their inspection fees would be returned because we wouldn't have inspected anything. The intent is to return the connection fees unless they were used at some point to start a construction project, which would all be laid out in the development agreement. There's a recording fee. That would still have to be paid because this development agreement would be recorded. But the bulk of the fees are going to be in your connection or impact fees or capacity fees for the utility. And if it's not going through, the intent is not to hold on to their money. In fact, we would prefer not to accept it until we're ready to, and we know the development has been approved. But in case it didn't, if they wanted it voluntarily, we just have this in place to cover it for the future. It's a what if.
Thank you. Is it the highlighted? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Curry.
Mr.
I know
Chairman,
you're with the Government Affairs Committee with the Chamber.
For the record, Brad Curry, Land Design South. As you stated, I am the chairman of the Government Affairs Committee for the Chamber of Commerce, St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber has experienced a great working relationship over the last 2 years, I would say, since I've been the chairman of the Government Affairs Committee, and working with staff and working with you guys to go over, what things could be business-friendly and promote businesses here in St. Lucie County. And I think we've gone a long way, and we've come a long way as well. And I think that, on what I do for a living is review codes and interpret codes and for my clients. And when I read this section, and I'll read it out for everyone here. It says, such a request for a limited refund shall be processed by the district if an as and when the district can reissue the capacity relinquished by a property owner to a new developer customer and the district receives cash connection fees sufficient to fund such refund, taking into account cash requirements of the district for capital improvements undertaken to provide service to the property owner. What that means to me is, and I heard the discussion between the county administrator and Ms. Waddy, and what I heard was there's different fees there, but that's not what this agreement says. This agreement says a limited refund. And we can talk conceptually about what it means and what it doesn't mean, but 5 or 6 years from now when some of us maybe aren't here or some of us are still here, I guarantee you it's going to be a different discussion than it is today. So I just think it's the limited refund is it's going to scare people off. It's not detailed enough. And I think that would be one of my biggest issues is that I understand that there's going to be some soft costs associated with it that, for staff time or whatever else it would be or whatever, but it doesn't say any of that here. And I think that's our biggest issue with it.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chair, in the application on page 57, there is a fee sheet. Also, on that fee sheet, if you'll note, it said fees may be adjusted from time to time based upon current resolutions, which leaves room to work with the client. And that's right here on page 57 in the application.
But that doesn't deal with the limited refund. That actually deals with us establishing the fees as a board that we establish for all the different areas. So their concern is more about the fact that a fee's now already been paid. We established the fee by resolution. They've paid that fee. Now they're saying, how do we know what we're getting back, when we're getting back?
Right, but with that fee sheet, if I may, Ms. Waldy.
Sure.
That fee sheet, and her and I were speaking about this in a meeting, that fee sheet was a determination of the fact that those bullet points would be checked off per accomplishment. Is that correct?
Correct. That when we do the development agreement, and those are the items that they pay, if there is an instance where it's voluntary and we know it still has to go in front of the board for approval, we can delineate in special conditions that these are the items that would be, intent is to be refunded.
Exactly.
So that would be part of the development agreement that's negotiated with the developers at that time.
Voluntarily.
Correct, voluntarily.
Commissioners, for the record again, Bill Blazak. If you look, this is I gave you a copy of the working document. So the earlier statement that a lot of these fees, a lot of this has been in place for a long time and they're fine-tuning it. Everything in this limited refund has been added. It was never in the original agreements. It's all new. It's all underlined. And it's all been added. So
that's correct.
The clean document that you have doesn't reflect that. This working document does. So this was never in the policies before, and it's a strong concern. And I would think if the fact is true that we have a current bulk water agreement with FPUA, that we get a letter from them saying, yeah, that they currently stand behind everything that's in that agreement, because I can't tell a client right now that exists. We have nothing current, and we have a letter that cancels that. So if FPUA agrees that they'll supply service under that, not a problem. But we need some certainty, as Ms. Cox said earlier. We're dealing with people in this economic climate that want certainty. You reference an agreement, they want to see a copy of it, and they see that it's that old and it's not current. There's a tremendous amount of uncertainty there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend we move forward with the document and set aside item 6, which talks about the limited refund as indicated by Mr. Blazek and the Chamber, and item 7, which indicates the bulk service agreement, but move forward with the remaining document. And that way you'd have 30 days to...
I'm sorry, if I may, I understand, yes, the limited refund. I'm not sure you can take out about the bulk agreement. With all due respect to Mr. Blazek, we have a bulk agreement. It has not been rescinded. All we have put forth is that we have the ability to build our own plants. Everything that we have that's in the bulk agreement, which we have a service area, we delineate, it's in effect, and also they sign off on anything that's in the bulk agreement and the development agreement as having that capacity. So I'm a little confused as to why the intent is thinking we don't have it. We work with FPUA every day.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think the county attorney certainly can confirm to the board what is the status of the bulk agreement that the county has with FPUA FPUA, whether or not it is in fact still in play. If you were to go back to the letter that is signed by the former administrator, I think it clarifies what has been canceled. That bulk agreement has two thresholds in there. There's a 5-year notice if the board intends to construct facilities, and I believe that is what, in fact, this letter cancels. There's also then a 15-year threshold if we were going to do away with it altogether, and I don't think that has been issued, but I will defer to the county attorney. But I would like to just get on the record, Mr. McIntyre, if you just give me a second. I would like to get on the record here relative to the working relationship that the county has had with the chamber. That working relationship did not start just within a 2-year period. We have worked cooperatively with the chamber, I do believe, for longer than a 2-year period. So I would like to clarify that statement for the record. Mr. McIntyre, if you would, please.
I think what you were hearing, though, is the fact that they now have a Government Affairs Committee, and as a result of that committee, they've been actively working on issues as it relates to the zoning, and so that's all been new, whereas previously they weren't as actively involved, and we didn't have that joint relationship. But now, over the past 2 years, now that they have their committee established, that's the difference. I don't think they were slamming to say they never were able to work with the county in the past as much as they now proactively have a committee that's involved and then working through Mr. Satterley's department.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for that clarification, but as the county administrator, I want to clarify that in general. That has not just been the case for 2 years. We have worked cooperatively with the chamber. I have gone before their Government Affairs Committee, so I just want the record to be clear from my perspective, if you would, please.
Mr. McIntyre, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I think the county administrator's description of the interlocal agreement that we have with the Fort Pierce Utilities Authority is accurate. There were two components to it. If we were to terminate the entire agreement, we would have had to have given 15 years notice. We have not done that as of yet. We did have the option, if we wanted to provide our own facilities, to give them a 5-year notice, and that's what we've done, and I guess Mr. Blazek passed that out. The board approved that some years ago, back in 2005. The board probably won't remember, perhaps Commissioner Lewis will. We really had to sign the interlocal agreement initially because we had oversubscribed committed capacity that really we didn't have, and so we were forced to get our utility services through the FPUA. That's the background behind it, but we tried to build in there some options for the county going forward, one of which was if we wanted to build our own facilities, that we could do that, but we had to give them 5 years notice. But we still have an interlocal agreement, a bulk agreement with them. That is not going to be canceled unless the board decides to do that, but you'd have to give 15 years advance notice. I'd like to talk about, perhaps as a suggestion for the board to consider, perhaps the item 3 on the limited refund of, I think Commissioner Zadowski's idea was to perhaps, one alternative for the board to consider is just to delete that right now if that's creating problems, going ahead with the other changes, which I believe are more or less consistent with what the chamber's wanting, in part anyway, and then come back and direct staff to deal with the issue of refund on a separate basis. That's also maybe consistent with what Commissioner Hutchinson and maybe the chair were looking for, going ahead with the changes that everybody agrees to, but not approving changes that are still in play or where there's some questions on that. That would be one suggestion, Mr. Chair, for the board to consider. Another option, if the board's not unhappy with that, and either just suggestions, would be to perhaps approve the resolution, which does, I think, contain the changes that everybody agrees with, but change the effective date to either February 1st or March 1st, giving additional time to try to work out the entire comprehensive agreement. So that's another alternative if the board's not comfortable. So there's some thoughts there for the board to think about.
Thank you, Mr. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, if I can just ask Ms. Walde, I don't believe that we have any applications in the pipeline right now that would be affected by this. I don't think we have had any voluntary applications that if we take this out or if the board defers implementation of Section 3, that would be impacted. So I think the suggestions from Commissioner Zadowski or the options from the county attorney, would be feasible, that we can move forward with the extraction of this particular section. And again, if, I am not correct, I would ask that you correct me.
No, that's correct, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, if we've moved through this, I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 12-219, deleting the item number 6, which pertains to limited refund upon denial of zoning and land use approvals, and having that come back to us in the night meeting in January at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hutchins.
I would prefer to the motion maker that instead of putting it in January we're in the midst of the holidays getting ready to kick in, I would prefer even to put it off till February, that section, thereby giving everybody the opportunity to have the time to review it.
I would amend that motion. Thank you.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second. And a comment.
From a discussion?
Yes, thank you. Just to clarify, I believe Commissioner Hutchinson also remembers the agreement. She was here in 2004. I seem to remember we at that point in time agreed upon some points. Anyway, looking at this, I think part of the problem is looking at the letter from the former administrator, as Ms. Outlaw mentioned, paragraph 19 is what's referred to, not the entire agreement. We had brought that forward not too long ago. We had some issues, and we worked through some compromises with them regarding that. So it has been amended to some extent, but only to the extent that there is some flexibility granted us with our northern needs, to reduce it to bare bones. The rest of the agreement is not affected, and if you go back to the agreement, and I see in the working document that was requested, I'm sure you saw it. The paragraph 19 reference, I think, takes care of the fact that there is still quite a bit of the agreement still in place. It does not affect our ability to obtain service and capacity from FPUA. And given the discussion that's been here today, I too, obviously, as you can gather from my second, believe that we need to work our way through. I didn't read it the same way that Mr. Blazak and obviously the Chamber group did either, but we do need to get that squared away before we move forward, which is why I've seconded the motion.
Mr. McIntyre, just to comment, I know on there are several exhibits that mention the schedule of fees. Almost all of those are blank or to be determined. We do have one listed for the administrative fee. I would assume we want to remove that and leave that blank as well, and then put all that into a resolution so that we're not showing anything that's put in.
Yes, sir.
I would suggest that as a part of any motion that we remove that item out of there so it's not locked into this.
Yes, sir. And I think Ms. Waldy's planning on coming back with a proposed reduction in fees over time, and that's something that hopefully she can do sooner rather than later.
Mr. Chairman, I'll amend my motion to consider your removing the actual fee from your, I guess we're telling it, page 57, administrative fee. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, there are actually several on page 81, page 57.
So we'll just remove all actual numbers until such time as Ms. Waldy brings it back.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any other discussion on the motion that's before us? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Mr. Chairman and Board, thank you. Mr. Zadowski, I would encourage you, let's work towards streamlining that utility. Let's get it regional.
I'm all about that.
Let's set a workshop and start that. I think it's imperative if we want to get jobs and a tax base here that we need to do that. We need to be able to charge half the fees we're charging.
All right. Start next week. How about tomorrow?
I'll schedule the meeting for you.
Okay.
I have all the support you need. I mean, the governor's office is behind us with moving that plant off of the island right now. I think there's a tremendous effort to do this. I think all of us as professionals here, need to work towards that. I said,
Thank
that's...
you for your support.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and we will support you any way that we need to with that. Thank you. Thank you for the support today.
Thank you, Mr. Blazak.
Mr. Chairman, can I just get clarification? This still is retaining the January start date?
No,
or
ma'am,
is that
February.
now gone to the February?
February.
Just for clarification. Thank you.
With that, we'll turn to item number 9, County Attorney's Office. This is RFQ 12-025, Thermal Conversion Facility to Process Municipal Solid Waste. Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to read the entire background, but just sort of skim through this. But back in April of this year, of 2012, the board did grant permission to advertise a request for qualifications from firms that want to finance, permit, construct, and operate a thermal conversion facility in the county. 6 firms submitted responses. In June, we selected and shortlisted the firms, and Covanta Energy Corporation was ranked number 1, and at that time, Jacoby Synergy Renewables was ranked number 2. There were others ranked as well. There were 5 firms that were actually ranked. One of the firms was determined unresponsive. In June of this year, the board approved the committee's rankings and authorized staff to commence negotiations with Covanta. One of the essential components of the RFQ was confirmation by the proposer that the fee for the services would be about $41 a ton. During the negotiations with Covanta, it became clear that they could only guarantee that the fee would not exceed the current tipping fee during the first 3 years. In the 4th year, Covanta proposed a tipping fee of $57 a ton, which would have resulted in a substantial rate increase. I want to say, from a staff perspective, we very much appreciate the fact that during the negotiations, Covanta was extremely straightforward and negotiated in good faith. And when it became obvious that they couldn't meet the objectives of the RFQ and the county, they were very honest and straightforward about that. We very much appreciate that. They actually came to us and recommended that we terminate negotiations because they believe they couldn't meet the ultimate goal. And so in that regard, staff is recommending that the board authorize staff to terminate negotiations with Covanta and to commence negotiations with Jacoby Synergy Renewables, which is the second-ranked firm. The representatives of Jacoby Synergy Renewables are in the audience, may wish to make statements to the board. If the board has any questions, certainly they're available to answer questions, and as is staff.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Actually, I would like to have Mr. Hillstead, as well as I didn't meet your companion. I'm sorry, Mr. Ward. Great.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to just add a footnote to Mr. McIntyre's presentation. After Covanta made that recommendation, we had one final negotiation discussion with them. In that staff wanted to be certain beyond any doubt that there was no flexibility on their part to come in line with what the RFQ actually provided for. And after a very healthy discussion, I think it was crystal clear that those terms just could not be met. So in the spirit of agreement, we collectively decided that this was in the best interest of both the county as well as Covanta.
I like that. It wasn't just clear, but crystal clear.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Ward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Mark Ward. I'm here this morning with Dr. Hilbert Hillstead. We represent Jacoby Synergy Renewables. Our address is 1486 Montfort Drive, Dallas, Texas, 75254. Thank you for allowing me to make a few brief comments this morning. Jacoby Synergy Renewables looks forward to working with St. Lucie County in developing a thermal conversion facility that will help reduce the landfills and produce clean energy. We have a strong team together. It's made up of Jacoby Development, which is based out of Atlanta and is owned by Jim Jacoby. He has a strong history in developing green projects and other energy projects. And then the other part of the partnership has Mr. Boone Pickens, who I work for as an investor. He's a longtime investor in energy and a visionary in an independent energy plan for the U.S. and is founder of the Pickens Plan. So along with those two principals, we have a development team with over 100 years of experience between 4 individuals, and we're ready to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Appreciate that. Mr. Hillstead, do you have any comments you'd like to make? It's always nice to be able to put a name with a face.
Hilburn Hillstead, president of Jacoby Energy in Atlanta, Georgia. I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to meet this morning and discuss this important project. We look forward to working with our partner, as Mark just stated, and bringing this very, very green project to fruition for St. Lucie County and waste energy plant. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? For
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ward, Mr. Hillstead, we've had several groups come before us, and I think that this board has been pretty clear from the original agreements that emissions be addressed, and that anything coming forward from a proposal should meet or exceed the emissions that were originally stated and set out in the original company. I think those emission standards are adequate and actually exceed all Florida standards, and I would ask that your group maintain, exceed, or reduce emissions from that set standard going forward. I would ask you to make sure that that is a priority for your company as you undertake this mission.
It sounded funny the way you said it. Maintain, meet, exceed, or reduce standards.
Get them all done.
Get them done.
That's crystal clear.
We don't want you to exceed, but meet. Wait. That was good. No, we got it.
It'll be whatever they, and then it'll be our decision to make it if they have done what we asked.
No, I'm with you. That's great.
Also,
any other comments? Yes.
Make a comment, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out to grace us with your presence here today, you and Jacoby Industries. And also, I want to thank Ron Roberts, who, in a short amount of time that I've gotten to know some of the things that he's doing. He's a visionary for our solid waste and sanitation department. And the gasification process, it will lead to a great opportunity for us not to have to continue to purchase land for those processes. And I think it's a great thing for St. Lucie County, but like Commissioner Zadowski stated, we do want the numbers to add up in the right direction. So we look forward to the opportunity, and once again, I want to thank Ron for extending himself to make all these things happen.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Thank you both. It's nice to see T. Boone Pickens involved, so thank you. And Mr. Roberts, you realize we're trying to do things so that you will never be able to retire. We want to ensure that 90 years old, you're still going to be plowing away, making things happen in St. Lucie County. Thank you for your efforts as well as your team. Really appreciate what you do. With that, we have an item on the agenda for that. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion to consider staff recommendation to authorize staff to commence negotiations with Jacoby Synergy Renewables. It's been motioned and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, with all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10 has been pulled per the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that item was pulled, and I neglected to inform the board that item B1 on the consent agenda was also pulled prior to the meeting, and I apologize for that. I know the board was aware of it, but just for the minute's sake, we did pull B1.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn to item 11, Administration, Treasure Coast Education and Research Development Authority Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is the appointment of a representative to the TSERTA board. Your backup indicates that Travis Murphy's term has expired and he would like to be reappointed. The board has a letter of recommendation from TSERTA. You have ballots before you on the dais. As we do with all vacancies where we have other applicants, The board needs to take in consideration the other applicants who have asked to be considered. We do need the board to vote for one applicant, please. You all are missing?
What I like is that I heard that while we're waiting for this, that our illustrious administrator was going to sing Christmas carols for us this morning.
I would.
I got a good chuckle from the audience.
You know,
I don't know if that's good or bad.
They probably chuckle because they know I would prefer to dance rather than to sing. So now if someone would do the singing, I will grace you all with a dance.
That's good.
Well, the floor is yours.
Someone has to sing.
Make sure your feet stay on the ground.
I'm dreaming.
Mr. Chairman, can you remove the county attorney from this?
He's dreaming to have a voice that he can sing.
Oh, that's good. Swear.
That was a good one, by the way.
That was a good one. A little better than expected.
So waiting on that, I am excited about the upcoming 2 weeks. I really hope that everybody has a tremendous holiday and Christmas. I'm excited. It's always nice when you have kids. My kids are so excited about Christmas, and we've had a great time spending time as a family working to prepare for our Christmas season as well.
Got our tree last night.
The tree. Mm-hmm. With kids, I had to do it like right after Thanksgiving. We weren't about to give it away.
Mr. Chairman, we're ready, and we're going to just pin that dance because you all are not going to get out of here without getting it. So with that, we're ready. I'm going to read the names of the other applicants. We had Robert Caldron, Camille Hopper, Keith Holloman, Daisy McGinnis, and then Travis Murphy, Jr. By way of vote, Commissioner Zadowski, Travis Murphy, Commissioner Lewis, Travis Murphy, Commissioner Hutchison, Travis Murphy, Commissioner Johnson, Travis Murphy, Mr. Chairman, Travis Murphy, and he gets the appointment with 5 votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Outlaw.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make a quick comment on that. I did feel that, you know, as our administrator mentioned at the beginning, we had some other really good applicants. However, the request of the board in question to retain Mr. Murphy weighed heavily with me on the decision. We're in kind of an, quite honestly, to my mind, sort of awkward decision with that board at this point in time. While it is an independent authority, we're so tied up in the funding that the processes are as they are. But I think if Mr. Murphy has done a good job, and if it's the board's intent that he continue, I supported that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, you know, actually, Mr. Murphy just received an award from University of Florida, so you know, that's a major partner in this, and certainly they should be represented at the table as we move forward with exciting things.
Good comments. Any other comments? With that, we'll turn to item number 12. County Attorney, you're busy this morning. We have the County Medicaid Billing, House Bill 5301. This is a proposed final settlement offer by AHCA. Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the board's indulgence, I think it's important to spend a little bit of time going through the background, although I know the board is familiar with it, but just for the purposes of the general public. This past year, the Florida legislature decided to enact a bill, was signed by the governor, that attempted to collect Medicaid billings from Florida's counties back a 10-year period, back to 2001. They, as part of that, they committed to determine the backlog amount for each county as of August 1st. And in our numbers, they started off saying that St. Lucie owed $16.6 million. That was as of March of 2012. And then by August 1st, the certification date, the state determined that we owed $11.9 million as of that date. the law provided that there was a 15% discount in order to encourage counties to settle with the state on the backlog amount. Our 15% discount was $1.7 million, almost 1.8, so that the backlog amount with the 15% discount was about $10 million. The counties who felt like that wasn't acceptable had the option to file a petition with the Department of Administrative Hearings by September 1st. And in our case, the board decided, based on staff recommendation, to not accept the discounted amount. We felt that it wasn't adequate, that it overcharged the county significantly, and that we needed to at least have an opportunity to present our case to an administrative hearing officer. There were only 4 of the 67 counties that did that. We were one of the 4. The other 3 were Bay County, Broward, and St. John's. Since that time, Bay County has settled. They actually got money back and thought they should have gotten more back. They were in an enviable position. There are now only 3 counties challenging the backlog amount. We are one of the 3. We have started the process. We've initiated discovery. We've taken depositions of the state's witnesses. We've tried to show them that we feel that they were significant overcharges. We've also tried to argue, of course, that we believe that a 10-year payback is inappropriate and it should really be a 4-year based on the statute of limitations and other equitable considerations. We've already determined that some of the people that were involved in this have already passed on and are no longer with us. So from that perspective, it seems inappropriate to charge a 10-year payback. We have looked at the billings. There's a fair number of duplicate billings. We were charged for children under 8, which are, according to rule or policy, was not appropriate. And we believe that again, that there were significant overcharges. ACA, which is the state agency, agrees in part with our analysis because they submitted a final, what they consider to be a final offer of settlement of $7,673,917.50. That was their final offer. They also suggested in the email that they would not entertain a counteroffer. I want to just say the good news of that is I think the fact that they did submit an offer justifies the county's position of challenging it, because they've conceded that the billing should have been at least $2.5 million less than the discounted amount. So I think it justifies the board's decision in August to challenge it. However, from a staff's perspective, we don't think the offer goes far enough. I want to just kind of go through the worst case, best case scenario, because in all these settlements, I think it's appropriate to kind of look at that, because you don't know. One of the advantages of settling things is that there is certainty there. In this case, in a worst case scenario, the administrative law judge would rule against the county on all of the issues. We would have to pay the entire original certified amount of $11.9 million because you don't get the discount if you don't settle with them. In a best case scenario, we would win on every issue, including the statute of limitations, and we believe that that amount would be about $1.6 or $1.7 million. As I've indicated just a few minutes ago, the advantage of settling a dispute is the certainty a settlement brings. If we settled this, the county would have achieved an additional savings of $4.2 million over the amount certified by ACA on August the 1st. There's no guarantee that the ALJ will rule in favor of the county. You know, one of the key issues is the statute of limitations. ACA is taking the position that a 10-year is appropriate. This case is a difficult case because of the volume of records, as you can imagine, over a 10-year period. Although county staff appreciates the willingness of ACA staff to submit a settlement proposal, and I want to emphasize we really do appreciate the fact that they did extend themselves to try to settle this. That speaks well for them. County staff does not believe that the offer is low enough to recommend approval. That's just staff's perspective. Although ACA staff indicated that they would not accept a counteroffer, county staff believes that governments that are suing each other or involved in a dispute, as we are, should make every effort to settle disputes. In this regard, and with no disrespect intended, county staff suggests that the board consider submitting a counteroffer in the amount of $4,930,419. In summary, we recommend that the board reject the settlement offer of November 16th, but submit a counteroffer in the amount of $4,930,419.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. Questions for staff?
No question, just a comment. I'd like to thank staff's incredible work efforts, the community services, the amount of documentation that these folks have gone through is extreme. And I'm actually proud that our county is so good at record keeping. In these types of cases, this has made a huge difference in us being able to have a firm position. And I think that the $4.9 million is a reasonable offer, counter, and I would hope that ACA and the state would agree.
Other comments from the board?
I'd like to make a comment. Just want to say concerning the situation in my brief history with the county, I am excited to work with people who have what I call true grit, to not just take down to any situation and allow someone to tell you that you owe them something when you know that it's not so in your mind. And to make that commitment and to do what's best for the county, I truly say we have an administrator, county administrator, and a county lawyer with true grit and a firm representation of what St. Lucie County is about. We're a county of true grit, and we will find a way to make things work out the right way. So I'd like to thank staff as well on that.
With that, is there a motion?
Chairman, move staff recommendation.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second,
Motion.
or just a tad bit of discussion further. I have no problem with doing the counteroffer on here, but I would also like to suggest that maybe we get active this year and see if we can't get some legislation passed to clarify that issue in regards to what's the appropriate time, the statute of limitations, because I have a feeling this is going to come back at a later time where that it's going to be an issue down the road in years that probably we won't be here in regards to the new health plans that are coming through the state and the federal government.
Mr. Chairman, from the Florida Association of Counties is moving in a direction, as you've indicated, to try and do just that, working to even remove ourselves from Medicaid altogether. But they're going to move forward with a work group with the state and hopefully find some resolution. So I think we'll have something from the Florida Association of Counties to help us on that.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Lewis.
I was at the legislative delegation yesterday, and our staff did bring this issue before the delegation. So I think not only are they aware of it, I think the chance is that there will be further discussion as Medicaid, well, the new Medicaid issues move through as well. I think there will be discussion, and I don't know whether there will be legislation per se this year, but I'm sure there will be activity on the legislative side of things as well as through the agency.
Were those specific to the statute of limitations issue? Because that's really what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, and I agree with what you're doing, but
I'm just saying I think that would be part of the discussion as far as the Medicaid issue in general, because as the program changes and does whatever it's going to do, I wouldn't pretend to second guess the legislature and what they're going to do with it. I think that will be part of the discussion because that was part of the lawsuit that a lot of counties undertook with them.
Right, but I think, and I'm not disputing that. I hope we do move forward across the state as united counties on it. Mm-hmm. But my issue is really in a bigger spot of having the state acknowledge and at least limit when you're suing other governmental entities that the statute of limitation on any issue needs to apply. This was just left open and
once again that went to court. And Mr. McIntyre, did the court address that specifically in their settlement? No.
Yeah,
It was just a blanket. This is the solution to the issue.
Well, there were 57 counties that sued initially, and one of the issues was the statute of limitations. But because of the global settlement that the association's trying to achieve in the future. Most of the counties have either dismissed or abated. We're one of 3 counties that have not done that. We've separated ourselves to some extent from the association on that lawsuit, and we're just probably letting you all know we're probably going to push the issue because it's to our benefit. They're collecting money from us now. So it's really, if they had agreed to not collect the money from us, I'd be all in on the abatement, but it's not appropriate, I think, for us to abate at this point.
Well, if the court declined to take action, and I mean, there's the statute of limitation is part of statute. It's the statute of limitations. So if the court declined to take issue with it, I'm not sure what the legislature will be willing to do, but I certainly would suggest. Pardon me?
The legislators are the ones that make the law.
Well, yes,
Court.
well, but I'm saying, but the law already exists, and then someone else takes it from there, so I'm not sure what the legislature will be able to do for us, but I'd certainly be willing to talk to them about it.
I'm on board. I think it's a great thing to have us talk about and further discuss. With that, from a motion standpoint, we have motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. With that, we've reached the end of our regular agenda. Turn to the announcement portion. Any comments from commissioners here as we reach the end of an exciting year?
Mr. Chairman, before we adjourn, I have one more brief item of business. I ask the board to bear with me a moment. When we did our reassignments a month ago, I certainly had every intention of fulfilling my obligation to the Friends of the Library. I do have a personal commitment. I thought I could make it work out. It is not working out, and I was wondering if someone would be interested in taking that committee position.
Commissioner Lewis, I'd be pleased to sit in your stead.
Well, thank you, and if you will deal gently with them, I would appreciate it. As everybody knows, well, no, libraries are one of my favorite things.
I'm not sure who's going to be gentle with whom.
Well, you know the ladies on board then. I'm glad. No, seriously, libraries are one of my favorite things, and I really enjoyed that board assignment, but I'm just unable to make it, so thank you very much, sir.
Yes, we need to...
We're going to have a motion on that, so we have a recommendation and acceptance at this point of accepting Commissioner Zadowski for Friends of the Library. Is there a second?
There's a second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
New friend of the library.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if Commissioner Zadowski would just accept a gentle reminder from his administrator that he has a host of boards and committees that he's chairing, and I don't have that list in front of me, but you just may want to take a look at that and make certain that you don't have a conflict there, or whether you need to move something around.
I do understand that Commissioner Mowry has an affinity for mosquitoes, and we'll be opening the mosquito control district here shortly. So I'm thinking that after today's meeting, I would look for a motion from our board to have Commissioner Mowry return to the chair of the Mosquito Control District, because I understand that he really enjoys visiting the mosquito dikes and hearing all the information from Mr. David on how mosquitoes proliferate.
You must have heard from Linda Cox about her exciting coffee talk where I brought in a bag of what she thought was mosquitoes that I thought, I launched into the audience, and it got quite a reaction. It was just a paper bag, nothing in it, no mosquitoes.
Well, we'll handle that at the end of the Mosquito Control District thing.
Any other last-minute agenda items? Comments
Mr. Chairman, I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday and a safe New Year.
I second that.
I think it goes across the board. And again, keep in mind the folks in Connecticut as a tragedy.
Yes.
Prayers to all.
Thank you. With that, there are several announcements that are noted. County offices will be closed on Monday, December the 24th, and Tuesday, December the 25th, as well as county offices will also be closed on Tuesday, January 1st, to observe those holidays. With that, we will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
We'll come to order as Mosquito Control District. First item of business is the minutes of the October 16th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is general public comment. Anyone wishing to address the Mosquito Control District? Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Consent agenda. Is there any item you'd like to pull for a separate comment or?
Motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to
I was trying to
nominate
keep it.
Commissioner Mowry as the chair.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
There's a second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Gladly accept.
All right. All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioner Zadowski, for your long tenure.
Those mosquitoes were scared whenever I was on the train. All right. We'll adjourn. Thank you.
We'll come to order as St. Lucie County Erosion District. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 16th and 23rd.
Motion to approve 16th and 23rd.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the general public comment? Seeing no one, we'll move to today's consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And is there a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. We'll come to order as a sustainability district. First item of business is the minutes of the October 16th meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Thank you. This is general public comment. Anyone wishing to address the sustainability district?
Motion to close public comment.
Mr. Coward, long time no see.
Good morning. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Coward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and also County staff. It is a pleasure to be back after about 2 years. I also wanted to congratulate our newly elected County Commissioner, Mr. Kim Johnson, as well as Commissioners Lewis and Sadowski on your successful reelection as well. I know there's a long line of people waiting behind me to speak under the Sustainability District, so I will be brief. But I wanted to give you an overview of the self-activities and the programs that we are administering in conjunction with the county staff. And I'm not going to get into great detail today, but I wanted to just provide an initial overview to you, and we'll certainly make ourselves available to continue to meet individually with the commissioners moving forward as well. As background, the nonprofit Solar and Energy Loan Fund was created by the County Commission back in 2010 and has recently received the 501c3 designation from the IRS. The nonprofit self-organization is actually overseen by an 8-member board of directors, which includes local bankers, architects, skilled craftsmen. We have one of the vice presidents from Indian River State College. We have representatives from the Treasure Coast Builders Association, the Green Collar Task Force, and also one of the 8 slots is specifically for a county commissioner. And over the last 2 years or so, Commissioner Chris Sadowski has served not only on our board, but also served as the president of the organization and deserves great credit for the work he did in helping take the initial concepts that we created back in 2009 and actually creating the foundation for that program to begin operating last year. So, Commissioner, thank you and the board for all the work that you folks did.
Thank your staff.
Commissioner Chris Kraft also served on our board for a short stint and helped us formulate our expansion plans, which I'll be getting into in a little more detail. So I want to thank him for his leadership as well. And of course, all of these programs are being done in conjunction with your staff. And I honestly cannot say enough good about the working relationship that the self-organization has had, not only with this board, but also with Ms. Outlaw, the county administrator, Mr. McIntyre, the county attorney, and Glenn Henderson is also one of your staff people that spends a tremendous amount of time working and assisting our organization. So what I would like to do today is just provide you with a little bit more information about the 3 programs that the self-organization administers in conjunction with the county and your top-notch staff. And those include 2 grants that total more than $3 million, as well as the new commercial PACE program, which is forthcoming and being fine-tuned at this time. And the PACE acronym stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy, which is a mechanism for landowners to do land-secured assessments on their property to allow them to do energy retrofits on their property. And I'll be getting back to that in just one moment.
And Doug, that's a voluntary process.
Oh, yes.
Right?
All of these programs are completely voluntary. I wanted to just start real quickly with the grants First is the $2.94 million Better Buildings Neighborhood Program grant that the county secured back in 2009. As a reminder, St. Lucie County was too small population-wise to actually be eligible for direct allocations from the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, otherwise known as the stimulus. So what the county did is actually apply for and compete nationally to try and secure grants from the Department of Energy. And I'm pleased to say that back in 2009, St. Lucie County was selected as one of 20 local programs in the entire nation and the only local government in Florida to actually receive this initial grant, which was $2.94 million. And that money has provided the startup costs to help get the organization up and running. It provides us with administrative costs for 3 years, going through August of next year. And it also provided the initial $1.65 million revolving loan pool, of which we've already loaned out nearly $1.45 million on the streets right now. The second grant that the county was successful at getting, and this is again Glenn Henderson, your grant writer who did this, he was able to secure a $300,000 grant from the Florida Office of Energy. And if you remember 6 or 7 months ago, the organization worked very closely with you to modify that grant so that we could expedite the use of it. And I'm pleased to report that we ended up using every single assessment allowed for in that grant, which amounted to, I think, over 600 energy audits on single-family homes in St. Lucie County in about a 3 or 4 month window. That's more than 1.25 million square feet of single-family homes in St. Lucie County. So we're very pleased that we are below budget on the DOE grant and ahead of schedule in getting the initial loan pool out on the streets. We are also successful at fully utilizing the Florida Office of Energy grant, and we're now bringing forward the third program, which is the Commercial PACE Initiative, which we are actually administering on your behalf. Mr. Chairman, if you allow me just a few more minutes.
No.
Okay. Now,
just kidding.
For those who are not familiar with the nonprofit Solar Energy Loan Fund, I wanted to let you know that the primary services that we provide relate back to those initial 2 grants. What we do is we provide the energy assessment to help us identify the most cost-effective types of improvements that you can make to your home or business that will lower your energy use and reduce your operating costs. And then once we've identified those potential solutions, the nonprofit organization also provides favorable financing as low as 5% APR that allows that client to actually make those recommended improvements in their property. So to date, we have completed 777 energy assessments and closed 166 loans totaling just shy of $1.5 million. A pretty good start for the organization over the last year and a half. The average size of our energy retrofit loan is about $8,700. And I want to make it clear that we don't just provide a check and say, go buy what you want. We have expertise to help them identify the most appropriate and cost-effective types of improvements. And we also benchmark every project so that we have energy use data prior to and after the improvement so that we know what the actual results are. And through the Department of Energy grant, our minimum goal was to achieve a 15% reduction in energy use on average. And what we have found through our initial assessment of our actual projects is that we're actually achieving just shy of 25% reduction in energy use. The other important aspect of this program is that once we've made the improvements and helped lower people's energy bills, they're able to use that energy savings to actually pay the loan off over time. And then once they've paid off the loan, the remaining money is just going back into their pockets. I thought it would be most useful to share one specific example to try and help illustrate these numbers and also how that energy performance actually works in the real world. I thought an example might help you digest that. We're just opening up new commercial lending opportunities, and our first commercial client submitted his business plan recently. He owns about a 5-acre commercial strip mall and needs to light the facility, exterior lighting, 365 days a year for security purposes. He is interested in doing an LED light retrofit program, And the upfront cost for this is about $68,000. Now, that sounds like a lot, but the technology that he's putting in is nearly 75% more efficient than the lighting he has in place now. So once the investment is made, he is projecting that his annual energy bill will drop by $22,000 each year. So in the first 3 years after the investment has been made, the energy savings or cost diversion from the investment is equivalent to $66,000 of the $68,000 upfront investment. So his ROI is just more than 3 years. And then through the remainder of that first decade with these products in place, he's going to save his business an additional $150,000 in operating costs as well. So he's saving money, but he's also going to have to hire professionals, whether they're engineers or skilled craftsmen, lighting experts, electricians, to actually go and do the work. So he's saving money, he's putting local people back to work, and in the process he's also cutting his air emissions and helping with other broader environmental benefits as well. So in addition to the 2 grants that I've mentioned, you also created this new sustainability district back in 2010, and you also finalized an administrative agreement with the Solar Energy Loan Fund, who is administering this program in partnership with you. And so we are very close to launching this program. I have a meeting later today with the chairman of the Sustainability District, and Ms. Outlaw and I are also meeting, I believe it's next week. And so we're going to be fine-tuning this program, and we would like to actually launch it officially with the County Commission. And so we'll be working very closely with your staff to kind of lay out a schedule for that to take place. What we're essentially doing is creating a new commercial PACE program. There are currently 28 states in America that have PACE programs. The most successful PACE program in America is in Sonoma County, California. They have done $60 million of energy and water conservation retrofits. Those people participating voluntarily in that program have not only created great energy savings, they've done a total of 2,000 projects, created more than 700 jobs, and the tax collector there actually makes the argument that those involved with land secured assessments are paying their taxes at a higher rate than those not participating in the program. So it's been very successful in California. It's been successful in other parts of the country, and it's now beginning to take shape in Florida. The legislature passed the enabling legislation back in 2010, and you're now seeing a groundswell of local governments all over the state of Florida beginning to roll out new commercial PACE programs as we speak. Miami-Dade, Broward, Lee County, Tampa, Tallahassee. It is the most prevalent model that you're seeing coming out of local governments at this time. So the bottom line through these commercial PACE programs is you're going to help the small business owners, the backbone of your local economy, cut their operating costs. They're going to help create projects that are going to hire people and put them back to work. And of course, you're going to be producing clean energy alternatives, which are going to help with air emissions and environmental issues as well. Finally, I want to let you know that the Solar and Energy Loan Fund recently learned from the U.S. Department of Treasury that we have officially been certified as a community development financial institution, which was ultimately our goal way back in 2009. We not only wanted to make good use of the grant monies that I've referred to, but ultimately we didn't want to just have those monies used and then our organization go away. What we wanted to do is to be able to transition from a grant administrator into an independent, nonprofit organization that can partner with the private sector to grow the program and the overall scope and benefits derived therein. So not only have we gotten this important certification from U.S. Treasury, but more recently we also secured our first non-governmental investment from the outside that are investing in our loan pool so that we can grow our program and expand into the region. So we are planning to move into 4 counties starting on February 1st, and we'll have satellite offices in Stewart, Indiantown, Okeechobee, and Sebastian initially. And we also have a number of banks that we've been working with very closely, and now that we have our C2FI certification and we're about to hit our 2-year operational benchmark, we should begin to see the bank monies coming in to further expand this program. So again, I wanted to just provide the commission with an overview. We're certainly available to continue to meet with you individually, and I hope that we'll maybe be able to work together to put some type of a town hall meeting of some sort together so that we can inform local business owners of this optional program and opportunities for them to cut costs. So with that, I'll stop and entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions, Mr. Coward? Hearing none, I want to say thank you to you and your staff for the amount of effort. It has been an incredible undertaking, but as importantly, I want to recognize this board and previous boards for their support of that entire process. Of course, the administrator and her unwavering support, and all of our staff in the grants department, those who've retired, and of course Glenn Henderson, who has tirelessly made this I wouldn't say an easy process by any means, but certainly with his help and his diligence has given us the opportunity to be recognized by the federal government and the state of Florida. And I think we just got a NACO award as well.
Right.
But as importantly, what this process has done is created a local jobs creation option. It has saved some businesses, and other businesses have been able to expand. You referred to some of those things. We should also state that there's a veterans provision.
Yes.
So if you'll expand on that, because I think it's important that our veterans be recognized for their commitment to our community. But
absolutely, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but we felt that the issue of energy is not just about energy. In our case, the state of Florida is actually spending about $58 billion each year buying carbon-based fuels from other states and nations. We're essentially sending our capital and our jobs to other states. We're trying to find ways for us to reinvest those dollars here locally. But when you're talking about those broader issues, energy can even rise to the level of national security. When we start talking about energy independence, many of the wars and conflicts that we're involved with are directly related back to our over-dependence on foreign-derived fuels. And so we felt that there was an appropriate connection with the military to basically provide special discounts for all veterans and families. And in fact, we just had a veteran come through our program and take advantage of these new discounts. So yes, we do have special provisions for the military as a part of this program.
And as the chair of the Sustainability District, I asked the public to support legislation for a renewable portfolio standard at the state level. The Florida Association of Counties is bringing that forward as one of their priorities and has done so for many years. A renewable portfolio standard will help us to move forward in energy savings and reduce cost of utilities for the individuals in this community and statewide.
And if I could, just a brief historical perspective, the County Commission started by trying to petition the governor and the legislature to move forward with some programs such as you mentioned, the RPS, that are in 25, 27 other states that help kickstart these job opportunities. And quite honestly made little or no progress. And it was after many years of not making any progress that the County Commission unanimously decided to create this local bottom-up solution. We didn't want to have to, I think the mindset at the time was we didn't want to have to ask permission from the legislature to do the right thing for St. Lucie County. And what you've done is basically provide options and empower your local community to take advantage of this voluntary program to help them become more efficient, where appropriate to utilize renewable energy alternatives, most notably solar hot water heaters and solar photovoltaic panels where you're making your own electricity, and basically help mine the inefficiencies out of our built environment and redirect your monies that are currently going to other states back into increasing the equity and market value in your property and spurring economic development activity in the process. So I don't want to oversell the program. We're a small organization. We've just brought our 6th staff on. We have 1 new staff coming on in January for our expansion. But we're going to incrementally grow this program. And one of the key things that I'm tasked with as the executive director of SELF is to help us in the transition. Once we've weaned ourselves off the initial grants, we need to partner with local governments and the private sector to raise additional funds and ultimately become sustainable, where we're covering our own costs. The only way we will do that is if we have the appropriate economies of scale to be able to derive revenues to cover our costs. And that is one of the primary reasons that we're going regional, is so we can try and become sustainable longer term.
And that said, anybody watching this would be able to contact the Solar Energy Loan Fund Clean Energy Program at what number?
Our telephone number is 772-468-4600. 1818, and our website is cleanenergyloanprogram.org. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and we're certainly available to provide any additional information that any of you need. And we'll try and be attending these meetings on a more regular basis as we begin to open up the commercial PACE program moving forward.
If I may, Mr. Chair, real quick, I just want to thank you, former Commissioner Doug Coward, for your tireless commitment to create clean energy and create problem solving and committing to develop jobs here locally, and really the great commitment of helping businesses save money, which could create more jobs as well. Right. And so it's stuff like that that makes St. Lucie County a better place to live and creates opportunity for our kids to grow and develop properly. Thank you,
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else for good of the order?
Mr. Coward, I think I'm going to see you tomorrow morning.
It's tomorrow morning. I
Yes.
knew they were coming up quick. So, yes. Happy holidays, and again, thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning.
You're welcome.
This is public comment. Anyone wishing to address the sustainability district? Easy for me to say. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment. Back to the board. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
We will come together as the Environmental Control Board. The first and only item on the agenda today would be the approval of the minutes for October 18th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. There is general public comment. Does anyone wish to speak to the board? Seeing no one, motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Thank you. We're adjourned.